30分後に登録を終了いたします。まだ登録してない方は
Welcome back to the SRL's TCR Championship here for season number 10 as we are around the Motegi circuit in the Tigchelaar prefecture of Japan here. The second round of 10 here in our 10th season of competition. It all kicked off last Friday around the Jerez circuit, and it was an absolutely fantastic start for this season. It continues here tonight then under the sunny skies in Japan, as we have got well over 30 drivers, in fact 37 drivers right now out on the track getting ready to start the second round of competition. That includes some names that we did not see last week, including one of our many team owners is Tigchelaar. He owns a whopping 3 teams down there on the grid. He is racing, of course, for the JC Academy Emerald alongside Jaden Scotton this season. Scotton not able to make it here this evening, which is a real shame. After his weekend last time out, of course, he could have got a potential double podium, but it didn't fall that way for him. Some good points on the board. Before we talk about the championships, though, it is clear we need to have another look at the calendar for this season as we head into the second round of competition here at Motegi. We have got 2 more races coming up to end of January, and that is where we head over stateside. We've got the streets of Long Beach. It is going to be tight. It is going to be tough. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. And then we head across to a circuit that is well known on the iRacing service and one that everyone would have driven at least once. It is the Summit Point circuit, where we finish off the month of January after round number 4. Into February we go. Hungaroring will be the halfway point of the season as we go to the tight circuit. It's going to be interesting in these touring cars, that is for sure. And then we head on the day before Valentine's to the VIR circuit, Virginia International Raceway, and a circuit that is well loved and well hated among those on the iRacing service, depending on who you are. We head across to the Italian countryside, but it's not for Monza. It is for the Mugello circuit, round number 7 on February 20th. And we finish February out at a classic touring car circuit. It's the Brands Hatch, the GP layout through the forests in particular. And we head to the final 2 rounds of the season over in March. We return to Spain for the Catalunya circuit and back stateside once more for the final round at Road America. But this season has only just begun as we head into the second round of competition here, and it is going to be interesting as the season goes on who is going to find their way to the front. But without further ado, let's have a look at how our championship standings fare. This is the Amateur Championship heading out of the first round of competition. Now, do remember that drivers can be switched classes before the halfway point on this season. I believe it was round 3 or round 4 that we will see if there is a driver that is dominating a class, that is competing with the classes that are higher up than them, such as our amateur leader, who is currently the fastest amateur in practice. He's 13th fastest overall. He is mixing it higher than the Pro-Am class right now. He's in the midst of the semi-pros, so we should see Jack Brown promoted out of this class, but right now he is the driver leading it ahead of Thomas Coombe. Ben Gibbons in 3rd position right now, and you see the top 10 there. It's going relatively close fights behind Jack Brown, and I think that will continue to be the way throughout the course of this season. Of course, the Amateur Championship being won by 4 different drivers over the last 4 seasons. When it was introduced back in season number 6, we had Fraser Geraghty in that first season of competition, followed by Kev Eilert. Eilert, of course, having a great season last season as well in the Pro-Am Championship. Paul Hurley's been there too, and then, of course, Lucas Henschel is the driver that won it in season number 9. He's up into the Pro-Am class this year with that introduction of the semi-pro class, of course, for the first time this season. Talking about then that Pro-Am Championship, let's have a look at how that stands. And again, Demis Tigchelaar doing really well last week. He isn't running the fastest Pro-Am times right now, but he did take a double class victory last time out at the Jerez circuit, and it sits him with 109 points out of Gonzalo Oliveira, who sits in second position, and Stuart Gibbons there in third position. You see how close it is behind, because Paul Hurley, JB Deshay, they are tied on 59 points apiece with Geraghty. Just a few further points behind that. So very, very close in those championship. Of course, some drivers have yet to competed, which is why they're sat there on 0 points. But once they get out on track, get some points to their name, we will surely see them move their fights up towards the front here. Alan McCain, for example, is in this server. He is currently 6th fastest in the class, 32nd fastest overall. Up to that new class introduced this year to bridge the gap between the pros and the pro-ams. It's the semi-pro class, and Deck Crowther is leading that in a very tight championship fight right now, only 5 points clear of Carl Hardy, 96 points and 91 points respectively. Andrew Lovesey is then only a few further points behind, as is Daniel Downing. Those top 4 in your semi-pro class separated by just 10 points, because only one round has occurred so far. It's going to be interesting to see how this new semi-pro class is going to go, how close that championship fight is going to be, as you see drivers all the way down to the top 10, including, as I said, one of our former AM winners there of Kev Eilert. He sits in 8th right now. I was going to talk about the Pro-Am class, but none of our previous Pro-Am champions are actually still racing in this series this season, which means that Pro-Am class is completely wide open for everyone. And obviously we'll be getting a first-time semi-pro winner as well, which means the Pro Championship is the only championship in which we might see a repeat champion. However, right now, it is Jack Boulton who is the fastest of all, stepping in and taking some really great results back at Jerez, and he sits with 150 points to his name, 25 points clear of Logan McKinsey. But look how close they are behind. 2 points separate second to 5th position. 125 for McKinsey, 124 for Scotton, and 124 for Dan Mould and Adam Delmont, respectively. Now, one thing that I haven't been able to get up onto our broadcast overlay today is the team standings, which is a shame, and I will try to get that sorted for next week. But looking at our teams championship, and it does go the way of Next Gen Racing Green out of last week's event. They have 205 points to their name, 173 points for Byte 500, and Blade Designs currently sits in third with 159 points. The Next Gen Racing Green, that's Jack Brown and Adam Delmont. They have done a great start to the beginning of this championship, and they will be hoping to do a little bit more as the championship continues, as we prepare to get started for qualifying here. And for the first time tonight, we are going to jump down into the commentary booth here. Hello and welcome. I hope you are having a fantastic Friday night, because I certainly am. I am fact-filled, and I've been giving a lovely fact information of all previous champions, which I really like that I can have a look at that. And it does mean I can have a look at some of our drivers here and see that we have only got one repeat champion over the course of this league as well, and that is, of course, Dan Mould, who is our Season 9 overall and Pro Champion. Now, the Pro Championship was introduced when the AM Championship was introduced in season number 6. And Dan Mould has never won it until season number 9. So it took him a while there. Before that, he did win the first, second, fifth season of competition in the overall championship. And last year, he got back to winning ways. Can he do it the same again this season? Of course, he's got some really tough drivers to contend with this season up in that Pro Championship. Not that we didn't in season number 9, of course, but there's some really good competition there. It's going to be interesting who's going to find their way to the front, because I'm looking at the standings right now. Jack Boulton is only the 5th fastest, but I say only. He is only 0.2 of a second off of Adam Delmont. The top 5 are incredibly close in this practice session. Delmont being the fastest, but you've got Borkland, Thurtle, Mould, Boulton, all of them up there, getting involved, ready to be in this championship fight. Now, Next Gen Racing Green, with Jack Brown, with Adam Delmont, they are going to be interested in that Teams Championship as well. And looking at the Teams Championship, which has only been for the last 2 years, it's been run, last 2 seasons, sorry, by the SRL team and the BSTV team, of course. Now, the SRL team this season is not just one team. It's split across 5 teams: green, Rosso, purple, blue, and white. So SRL has a huge opportunity to try and win this championship, as does the JC Academy team. They've got the Emerald, Opal, and Topaz team as well. So a lot of teams out there under the same umbrella. It doesn't mean they'll be helping each other out, but it does mean that there is some interlinked teamwork going on there. Now, practice is coming to a close here, which means we are going to jump down onto the circuit in just one moment's time. Who is going to be able to take pole position today? Delmont is the fastest at the moment in the session, but Jack Boulton, not only did he take pole last week at the opening round, he did take pole position in the second preseason race as well. So Boulton is quick. Can he find that just a little bit of extra time around the Motegi circuit here? Because the Motegi circuit itself is one that not a lot of drivers are used to. It's one that a lot of drivers are having to learn for the first time in a very long time. And for some of them, the first ever time here as we head around the wonderful circuit. Of course, used to be called the Twin Ring Motegi. That's how long ago I remember it. It was renamed almost 10 years ago now. It was only changed 3 years ago. 4 years ago. It's 2026. 4 years ago now. And I haven't raced it since it was renamed. Of course, the scan here is still the Twin Ring Motegi. That's how old the scan is in itself. It's more than 4 years old at this point. And it is just a fantastic racing circuit. That is for sure. This road course is going to create some interesting racing. You've got the S's, of course, through the 7 and 8. You've got the hard braking points of turn 10, turn 11. Get that final chicane right as well through 13 and 14. It's a lot tighter than you think it is. Right, qualifying has got started here, and we are going to jump across so we can see drivers heading out on their opening laps here, getting ready to prepare themselves for their first timed laps of qualifying. 15 minutes will be on the board. If you are new around here, we have 2 races coming up around the Motegi circuit. The first race will be 20 minutes, set, of course, by the qualifying order. Race number 2 will be 25 minutes, and that grid is going to be set with the top 15 reverse. Now, of course, there is a field of over 35 drivers out there tonight, which means that those top 15 reverse, it is a small handful, but race number 2 is always full of interesting racing, and as drivers try to fight their way through, and it has caused a number of issues in previous races. It's sure to cause some inevitable drama again tonight as drivers will try to make their way through. But before we get all the way through to the final race of the day, we've still got race number 1, and more importantly right now, qualifying to go. Drivers come across their line, across the timing line here to get their lap time started. We are watching the Frenchman of Anthony Lammer here start his qualifying lap around the Motegi circuit of running of 4.8 kilometers, or as our Brits like to say, 2.9 miles here, just under 3 miles in length. Now, Lama, one of our few independent drivers, only 8 of them out there, but of course, that doesn't mean they are slow. The championship currently being led overall and in the pros by an independent driver of Jack Boulton. Now, 12 minutes left on the clock. It is a relatively long lap around here, which means drivers will be just sticking themselves out there. They won't want to be coming down to pit lane for any reason such as damage. So they'll be trying to find a nice open space out there. And right now, Anthony Lama has got a nice little amount of space. We'll see if we can get the track map here. And as always, it likes to pretend there's no one out there. You can see the sort of spacing that drivers have around the circuit as they try to find their way around the Motegi circuit here and get themselves a first lap time on the board. Who is going to be able to place in the fastest lap time at this early stage? And it could be crucial. There was a lot of gravel being kicked up onto the circuit during the practice session, which in qualifying would obviously slow your lap times down, could impact faster laps towards the end. It looks like the number 37 is going to be the first across the board, Adam Delmont. He was, across the timing line, he was the fastest in practice, of course. Will he be able to repeat that here in the qualifying session as they go across the timing line and get their first lap times on the board? Delmont is purple and is faster than those putting in behind, but Jack Boulton finds a huge amount of time here on his opening lap and goes a 202.375. We watch Ronald de Jong come across the timing line. De Jong taking double class. I got that mistaken with Tigchelaar. You normally teammates, actually, de Jong and Tigchelaar, not teammates this season. De Jong partnering up this season, of course, with I've lost it already as I try to look over all of my information. It's Kim Borkland, of course, that he's teamed up with this season, and Tigchelaar himself racing with Van Reenen this season to try and see what they can do in the championship. Van Reenen there in 27th position right now in that amateur class. De Jong continuing to put in some lap times at the moment and seeing if he can move up the order, but at the moment it says 8. That's obviously a class position. Let's see if we can get that as an overall position instead of our class. He sits 19th overall there on the left-hand side of the number 91 machine. 10 more minutes left in this qualifying session right now, and for those that are just joining us, then we are going to prepare to go on board with Kim Borkland here, the Sim Racing Forces Norway, de Jong's teammate, for a lap of the Mobility Resort Motegi circuit, of course, formerly the Twin Ring Motegi, which I think everyone still calls it. I certainly do. As we come through the final chicane, we ride on board with Kim Borkland in the pro class here. He hasn't put a lap time on the board just yet. Will he do so when he crosses the line here and heads up towards turn number 1? We get onto the braking zone. Last lap was good enough for 4th position. Gets it in nice and tight through turn number 1 as Mould finds the purple lap. Goes fastest right now. Borkland on the throttle all the way down towards turn number 2. Getting on the curbing on the right-hand side. Slam on the brakes. Trying to keep it on the circuit. It's a little bit wide onto the grass. Still a valid lap here for Borkland as he goes through turn number 3 and heading now towards the sharp. It's more than 90 degrees. It's about 120 degree corner here for turn number 4. And underneath what is the oval circuit, why it was originally called Twin Ring, with the road and the oval, run of course at one point by the IndyCar series as Espinera goes second fastest. Borkland comes up through turn number 7 into 8. These S's, I think, are going to catch a few people out during the racing as they try to run side by side. Now onto the brakes for the left-hander. Never used to think this was more than a 90 degree. It certainly is. It's almost a hairpin turn there through turn number 9, and now into the hairpin. Heavy on the brakes around the 50-meter board there to turn in at turn 10, and you're back on the throttle here through the what would be the east pit lane if we were just running the east circuit, running the full road course, of course. Now, full throttle all the way down towards turn number 11. You're going to slam it on the brakes about the 100-meter board there, get it onto the curbing on the inside, push it out wide, back on the throttle all the way to the right here. You can extend even further than Portland did there, going through 12 into 13 through the final turn of 14, feeling the weight just shift from one side to the other. Back on the throttle here for Kim Portland. He's 8th fastest in this session right now. Really fine time there. Of course, he did run slightly wide at turn number 2, and it was, in fact, an invalid lap with that wide moment from Kim Portland. Arthur Thurtle finds time to go second. Fraser Geraghty is currently running around in the SRL Blue Machine through the final chicane, trying to get his first lap time on the board. He's the only driver without a lap time in this qualifying session with 6 minutes to go. But the number 5 machine crosses the timing line. Will it be a time on the board? It is, and it places him in to 31st position at the moment. Dan Mould, the number 1 machine, the defending champion, will be looking to try and take his first pole position of the season, and right now he's got some good speed. Arthur Thurtle, second fastest. Luciano Espinera in third. Surprisingly, I have lost Adam Delmont, and that's because he is all the way down in 21st position. Adam Delmont is just not putting together a lap here to get himself to the front of this field and all the way up to that top 5 where we see the pros undisturbed before the first of your semi-pro drivers. Tom Woodcock sits in 6th position ahead of Daniel Downing. Gonzalo Oliveira, your fastest Pro-Am driver right now, and Jack Brown, your fastest Am driver. He is definitely going to be promoted up into at least the Pro-Am class before the classes get locked in for the remainder of the season, because he is significantly faster than Thomas Coombe, who is currently your second fastest second fastest amateur driver right now. Has Adam Delmont been able to string a lap together this time as he comes to complete his 6th lap of asking around the circuit? And he does! It's second fastest for just a moment, but behind Jack Boulton goes in to provisional pole positions, almost breaking into the 201s, but it is less than a 10th of a second separating Jack Boulton, Dan Mould and Adam Delmont at the moment as we go through turn number 2 into 3. It is the leader of the championship right now, Jack Boulton, who is the fastest out there as it stands. Dan Mould also trying to get just that little bit more out of his car as we got 3.5 minutes left on the clock right now. Jess Saunders moves up to 30th. Torburn Mail into 28th as this amateur class fight it out for what is second in class, with Jack Brown all the way up there in 15th right now. But Torburn Mail, Thomas Coombe, Jeff Saunders, 28th, 29th, 30th right now in that AM class. Then you've got Yannick van Reenen in 36th. He sits in 5th in class. And Andy Litley, your slowest driver out there right now, 6th in class, 37th overall. But those there is a few of those AM drivers ahead of your Pro-Ams and, surprisingly, your semi-pros as well. Ronald de Jong, Mahan Kodeman, semi-pro drivers not getting in the laps around this circuit. Now, of course, this is a circuit in which drivers have expressed their difficulties in learning, getting to grips with, even knowing the track. Some of them referring back to the last time they even remember this circuit was back in Forza Motorsport 3. And I think that just sort of tells you how little this Japanese gem is run on the iRacing service and by these drivers in general as well. So it's lovely to be out here in the TCRs. Up towards turn number 1, and there's no improvement on the previous lap by Boulton, Mould or Dalmont. Only Dalmont getting in an actual lap time on the previous one. Boulton getting an invalid one. So did Thurtle, but he's about to finish yet another lap here in this huge train of drivers that head around and up towards turn number 1 with 2 minutes left on the clock. Drivers, they come across the timing line, will be putting in their final lap times as it stands. JB Deshay here, currently running 16 fastest. Deshay has found some pace in some of these races, and he is second fastest in class right now. He'll be looking to try and take a class victory in at least one of the races tonight. A number of drivers pulling over to the side. Of course, they won't, if they're invalidating their laps, they won't be able to get another one in. But the top 4 right now are separated by just a 1/10 of a second between each other. It is incredibly close as Thurtle moved past Dalmont, but Dalmont is still out there. Adam Dalmont is still looking to try and get a pole position lap here. He has to find less than a 1/10 of a second to get his machine onto that front row of the grid and onto the front of the grid. Logan McKenzie is just over a 1/10 of a second behind. Luciano Espinal there in 6th. Mark Draper is the fastest of your semi-pro drivers that new class introduced. He sits 7th position right now overall, just ahead of Andrew Lovesey, and it's about half a 1/10 of a second between them as well. Through the final chicane comes Adam Dalmont. He pushes it wide. Is he going to find enough time to place it on to that pole position spot? No, it is a time 3 seconds slower and invalid for him. So it will not be pole position for Adam Dalmont, and it looks like Jack Boulton will go back to back for pole position here, which will give him those additional 5 points for class pole, as will Mark Draper, as will Gonzalo Oliveira, as will Jack Brown. That will be the qualifying session done, and race number 1 is going to prepare to start here with 20 minutes on the clock. Let's have a look at how race number 1 is going to start. Jack Boulton on pole position ahead of Dan Mould. Arthur Thurtle will start in 3rd ahead of Adam Dalmont in 4th. 5th position will be Logan McKenzie, and Luciano Espinal will start in 6th. Mark Draper, the fastest for semi-pros, will be in 7th ahead of Andrew Lovesey. Kim Borkland will start in 9th ahead of Anthony Lammer. Tom Woodcock will start in 11th, and Daniel Downing in 12th position. 13th will go the way of Will Lyon ahead of Daniel Lewis. Gonzalo Oliveira will start in 15th position, the fastest of your Pro-Am drivers. John Brown will start in 16th. JB Deshay in 17th, and your fastest Am driver, Jack Brown, will start in 18th. 10th row of the grid will be Deck Crowther alongside Stephen Fry. Kev Aylett will start in 21st ahead of Craig Walters. Tigchelaar will be looking to try and go further with his double victory from Jerez last week. He's starting 23rd ahead of Carl Hardy. 25th position will be Alan McCain. Jake Cooley will start in 26th position ahead of Lucas Henschel. Fraser Garrity will start in 28th, and Torban Mayo in 29th. Thomas Coombe will round out your top 30. On the 16th row of the grid will be Jeff Saunders ahead of Marheim Kodeman. 17th row will be Paul Hurley alongside Ronald de Jong. Kevin Marshall-Stay will start in 35th position, ahead of Yannick Van Wienen in 36th. And at the back of the field, on row number, if I try to do my maths correctly here, 19, row number 19 will be Andy Littler in 37th position. Race number 1 is preparing to get going here, and it is Jack Boulton who is going to be at the very front of this field for a 2nd week in a row and be looking to try this time to take that to a race 1 victory. He wasn't able to take it last time. Can he do it here today? The lights will be up for our drivers here. 20 minutes on the clock. And for round number 2 here at Motegi, we are away as we head up towards turn number 1. A great launch for Jack Boulton at the front. Drivers behind will try to get through turn number 1 as cleanly as possible. It's 3 wide in certain points of the field, but everyone has made it incident-free out of the opening turns. It goes almost 4 wide towards the back of the field right now, as that is Logan McKenzie and Espinera fighting out in 5th and 6th position, but McKenzie gets on ahead right now. Daniel Downing looking to get past his teammates. Will Lyon and Tom Woodcock are running side by side as well as we head up towards turn number 4, ready to go under the bridge as Mark Draper to the inside of his teammate Daniel Downing as they run side by side once again as we go through turn number 5. This is technically turn number 5, that's turn number 6. I don't know how that works, but there you go. And up towards turn 7, and once again it's to the inside here for Daniel Downing, but it comes out the way of Mark Japper once more. This is the fight between the 2 teammates. It is the fight for the lead of the semi-pro class, which is the tightest contested class coming out of round number 1 at Jerez. Draper once again side by side with Daniel Downing, but this time it is Draper who is going to come out on top on the far exit. Dan Mould and Jack Boulton momentarily swap position there. Boulton back to the lead in this one. There was an accident in the background. Not too sure who was caught up in that one at the moment. There's a little bit of smoke as this leading fight goes down towards turn number 11 for the first time here. Jack Boulton leading Dan Mould ahead of Arthur Thurtle. None of your top 9, which are all your pro drivers there, have changed in class positions. They have, of course, got past a few of the other classes, but the class positions remain the same inside your top 9 right now as they go across the timing line to begin lap number 2. And it looks like a bit of a dive there from Delmont on Arthur Thurtle up towards turn number 1, but it does go the way of Thurtle. He stays ahead, no contact there, and Espinera is just dropping a little bit back off of McKenzie here, holding on to a top 5. Back towards the front of your semi-pro class. Daniel Downing holds on there. Woodcock has got into 2nd, Lovesey into 3rd. What happened in that fight is Jack Brown, your amateur driver, up into 15th position right now, just climbing through the field in overall positions, of course leading the amateur field by a whooping 10 positions at the moment as Thomas Coombe holds on to 25th place. Daniel Downing started 4th in class, but is leading at the early stage here. This pro lead is a train of drivers, but here's Jack Boulton ahead as Thurtle goes sideways. Delmont looks to the inside here. It's side by side as McKenzie pushes Thurtle up towards the hairpin of turn number 10. Thurtle is on the inside of Delmont. Delmont trying to get the power down, does hold it there, and will continue to run side by side here. It is advantage Thurtle right now. He is also going to have the inside line, but Delmont is not going to give it up. Behind as McKenzie looked for just a moment to go and try to follow Thurtle through. He decides to stay back for now. Delmont and Thurtle still side by side as Adam Delmont gets the inside through the left hand of the chicane. It will swap over, but he gets the speed, and Adam Delmont moves into the overall podium as Thurtle moves to go defensive on McKenzie. Here comes Luciano Espinera as well, and Kim Borkland's just off of the back of that one. It's side by side between McKenzie and Espinera. McKenzie holds it on the inside, but pushes wide, will hit the wall. Contact with Espinera, who has to recover and is falling down the order, but that was McKenzie off the circuit and will need to try and recover that one as well. Let's see if we can get just another look at how that one occurred. It looked like it was just McKenzie potentially pushing just a little bit too wide there to try and do something. This is on board with Luciano Espinera here through turn number 1. He's to the outside. He's got McKinsey on his inside line here. He tries to keep it tight. McKinsey's trying to get the power down. It's 2 into 1, just does not go for them. And Espinera to the back of that throw fight right now. McKinsey has managed to get back out on circuit. It doesn't look like he has got a meatball flag or anything that will need him to come down pit lane. But how is that car going to be feeling for him? 15 minutes still on the clock is going to be a hard one to recover here for McKinsey. But if he does hold on to this 15th place spot, he will take pole position in race number 2 with that inverted grid towards the back of the field here. We've got we've got Andy Littler looking up the inside of Yannick Van Reenen there. Reenen off the circuit and wide there, allowing Littler up into 4th position in class. Jeff Saunders right now is on the back of Ronald de Jong. Thomas Kuhn is 2nd in that amateur field and chasing down the previous year's amateur winner of Lucas Henschel. Henschel taking that AM Class Championship in season number 9. Thomas Kuhn right now chasing down behind. Boulton goes purple on that lap at the front of this field at the moment. Closest fight out there is going to be the one between Borkland and Thurtle right now, and that was Borkland getting past Arthur Thurtle into turn number 1. Let's see how we can do that one. Borkland moves to the outside of turn 1. Thurtle's defending to the inside, and Borkland just switches it across. A nice up and over there for Borkland. He gets through to the inside, and we'll move into 4th position. About a second off of Adam Delmont will be looking to try and take a podium in this first race if possible. Dan Mould will be looking to try and get his number 1 machine into the 1st position spot. Boulton has got a huge amount of speed here, but he is not able to just fly away that he probably would have been hoping for here. He wasn't able to do the same at Jerez as well, and it was one that ended up meaning that he fell down the order in race number 1. He, of course, took victory in race number 2. Was Dan Mould closes in about 0.2 of a second through turn number 9 and up towards the hairpin of turn 10. And he's closing down once again. How will it be on the exit here? Because the power on the exit in these front wheel drive machines is what really counts, because it's how quickly you can get on the power, get your full amount of power that you need for the duration of the event. Now, Tom Woodcock is looking to try and fight Daniel Downing for 1st position in the semi-pro class, which is a step down from the pro class right now. As I said earlier, it's the closest championship fight out there that includes your championship leader. So we'll be looking to do something with this if he's able to move up. Dan Mould does go purple on the last lap and wait 0.2 of a second quicker than Jack Boulton. So he is closing down to the number 31 machine at the front of this field. And I think that's just important to note, as it looks like that is Ronald de Jong with some huge amount of damage to the front of his machine, as that's to the inside of him there is Jeff Saunders, your amateur class podium sitter. He sits in 3rd in class right now. De Jong, I'm trying to see where he may have went off here for us to catch up and have a look. I'm not too sure. Side by side right now. Of course, they are in their own separate classes, but they take points from their overall position. So every single position really does count here, especially here for the man 3rd in class of Jeff Saunders, because he has 5 positions up to Thomas Kuhn, and he has 11 positions up to Jack Brown. Jack Brown has fallen down to, I was going to say 25th there in 19th in class. Arthur Thurtle has just gone around. What has happened here to Thurtle? Is it contact with Lama? It is, but I would say it was a little bit of netcode contact there that sent Arthur Thurtle around into the gravel, which is a shame for the man who has not had the best of runs in these races. He seems to always get into some sort of issue through occasionally faults that he makes, but more often than not other people's issues that cause issues for Arthur Dirtle, and that is a shame for what could be a championship contender here at Motegi, but it is not the end of the season. In fact, it's only the second round. Some drop weeks will obviously be applied, and you're not going to be wanting to take a drop week early in the season, that's for sure, but Dirtle will be looking to try and recover. He's got Logan McKenzie just up ahead of him. He deserves to finish in this 15th position. Of course, he will be in pole position for race number 2, and we're halfway through this race, so how much is Dirtle looking forward to the next race now? Of course, Logan McKenzie ahead of him does have significant rear end damage from going into the tyre barrier earlier on in this race after contact with Luciano Espinera. Espinera himself is down to 9th position in this race, overtaken by 2 semi-pros, which are the leading semi-pro drivers, Daniel Downing and Tom Woodcock. But the lead fight, as it stands, is down to half a second right now, and Jack Boulton could be under attack from the 4-time overall champion here around the Motegi circuit, the defending pro champion as well, the #1 machine on the SRL Rosso machine for Dan Mould. Adam Delmont can see how much Mould has been able to close up towards Jack Boulton. He'd be biting at the teeth to try and get up towards this fight as well, because it is definitely going to be a contended battle here for the lead of this race before it is all said and done. 8 minutes on the clock. We are looking at about 4 more laps of asking when we come to the timing line. That was lights flashing from Dan Mould, with Jack Boulton still on ahead at the moment, and looking back, this will be the rear view mirror of Boulton right now. That gap has halved since the opening lap of this race, as Boulton was just able to fly away from the drivers behind. Will Lyon moves past Anthony Lammer as Lammer looks to regain that position in their fight, and Lammer to the right hand side is speed here for Will Lyon, and looks like Lammer may have had a slowdown. He had to give up some time there, which has given Will Lyon that top 5 position, as Daniel Downing goes extremely deep into turn #1 in that semi-pro class, looking to invite himself into the fights with some more pro drivers. Of course, already getting past Luciano Espinera, so he knows he's got the pace to do so. Tom Woodcock just behind is looking to try and catch up to Daniel Downing, and these pros could actually be his ticket to that. Lovesey is separated from Woodcock by Espinera, and that top 3 in the semi-pro class right now, looking to try and hold on to some podiums. Gonzalo Oliveira doing a good job to hold on to the lead of the Pro-Am class, and JP Tigchelaar right now second in class as well. The next person down in that Pro-Am class is Alan McCain in 21st position. So Oliveira and Tigchelaar here getting some great results in if they're able to take this to the end of race #1. The lead gap down to 0.4 of a second. Some good speed there from Dan Mould. Could we potentially see an overtaking opportunity here for Mould as Boulton sticks to the right? Mould wants to try and get up that inside, trying to get Boulton to get into a defensive habit here. Certainly did. Boulton getting the speed at a turn 10 though, and as we head up towards the heavy braking point of 11 and then under the bridge. What can Mould do with putting Jack Boulton under pressure? Boulton has won 1 race so far this season. He's taken both pole positions and the 10 additional points that those 2 have given him. Can he find his way to his 2nd race victory? Or Dan Mould, will he be able to find his 1st race victory of this season? Daniel Downing at the moment looking for his 1st class victory of the season, along with Gonzalo Oliveira. Jack Brown looking to take 3 for 3 here in race #1. As I say, Brown is definitely going to be finding himself in a higher class before the classes are locked for the season. 3 laps to go here as we watch the fight at the front of the field between Jack Boulton and Dan Mould. Mould looking to try and take this victory and show Jack Boulton that he is here to fight. He's here to take the fight to him, because Boulton has just flown away after Jerez in the championship standings. But here at the Motegi circuit in the Tigchelaar prefecture of Japan, it is not going to go so easily for Jack Boulton. He wasn't able to win race number 1 last time at Jerez. Will it be the case here at Motegi? Will he once again have to hunt for victory in race number 2? It's 0.2 of a second here, but Mould has been especially quick through turn number 9 over Boulton there. A little bit too close for Mould to find the speed through the corner. He does still get the speed on the exit. He looks to the inside. Boulton gets a late apex there, pushes on and will stay ahead for now, but it is incredibly close, and Mould has once again got the speed here as we head up towards turn number 11. This pressure is on as we go up towards the penultimate lap of this race. Jack Boulton leading the way ahead of Dan Mould. Boulton stepping into the championship and looking to try and take a championship with that. He did a great job at Jerez to take a strong amount of points. He'll be looking to do the same here. Dan Mould right now taking the 3 additional points for the fastest lapping class as well. Onto the brakes for turn number 1. The gap opening just a little bit between them at the moment, and Alan McCain has found time as Jack Brown and Jacques have a little bit of issues, it looks like, towards the end of that lap. Or was it? No, well, it looked like it might have been actually just Alan McCain who was having a few disconnect. There you go. That's the issues that happened. Sorry, no, it wasn't Alan McCain. It was Jack Brown who was having the few moment issues with the internet that caused that little bit of a scuffle, and hopefully it will get sorted as the race continues, and we won't see that again, as Anthony Lammer is at the rear of this train of pro drivers right now, and he is trying to get past Will Lyons, get into the top 10, but he does have the semi-pro leader of Daniel Downing breathing down his neck, and for good reason, because Downing has got Tom Rockott and Andrew Lovesey chasing him down, and these 3 semi-pro drivers on that podium in class right now could be fighting out all the way through to the end of this race, as we continue to watch Lammer chase down Lyon and just not able to do anything with it as it stands. Adam Delmont still about a second behind this fight right now as it stands, but we head up towards turn number 11 to get onto the brakes once more. But Boulton leading the way as we head up towards the white flag lap here for the first of 2 races around the Motegi circuit tonight. Dan Mould still trying to chase down, closes in through the chicane. Can he get the speed on the exit here? Mould is pushing hard, pushes so hard, getting an off track there as he runs through the final chicane. Does get onto the rear end of Boulton, but that will be the white flag here as we go on to the final lap of asking. Boulton runs slightly deep. Mould, for just a moment, could peek up the inside, but it just wasn't enough. But now Mould knows that Boulton is feeling this pressure. Who is going to come home at the front of the overall and pro field with the semi-pro car, in 7th position, fighting out. They're also extremely close as well, as we see them coming around in the background in their fight for that semi-pro podium. Dan Mould pushes wide once again as he tries to find any time that he can to just pressure Jack Boulton into some sort of mistake here to take an opportunity to move through into the lead. Mould less than 0.2 of a second behind Boulton through the S's, and we know he is quick into turn number 9. He's all about the exit here. Try and get the speed. He does have more speed than Boulton, but it's just not enough to really put Jack under pressure, but he's going to go for it anyway. Dan Mould dives to the inside. side of Jack Boulton. There's contact as Boulton goes momentarily sideways. It's side by side for Jack Boulton and Dan Mould. Mould is going to be on the inside line into turn number 11. Dan Mould is going to try and hold it. Boulton is there, but the door is closed. And on the final lap of asking, Mould makes his way through, and Boulton does not push it too hard to get that position back. He wants a good, strong result. He would have wanted the win, but there's nothing you can do without a desperate move. And Dan Mould takes the checkered ahead of Jack Boulton. Adam Delmont takes home third ahead of Borkland. Rivera is going to take the win in the Pro-Am class ahead of JB Deshay. It was Daniel Downing who took the win in the semi-pro class, and Jack Brown will take a third AM win of the season in the 3 races as the rest of the drivers all come around to finish the race off. Dan Mould will be incredibly happy about his last lap move there. A little bit of contact could frustrate Jack Boulton with that one, but Dan Mould, for the first time this season, will take race victory here in race number 1. As I said before, Daniel Downing there, a great job for him. It's his first class victory as well in that new semi-pro category, which means we're yet to see a repeat winner in either the pros or the semi-pros. The Pro-Ams, though, it goes the way of Gonzalo Rivera in that one as well, which is his first win of the season in class as well. So well done to Rivera. And, of course, it was Jack Brown for the 3rd time this season to take class victory. And like I said, it's very likely he will be promoted out of that class before the end of this one. But what an evening it is turning out to be. Race number 1 is done here around the Motegi circuit. So let's have a look at our final race results of the first race of the day. And it was Dan Mould winning that one ahead of Jack Boulton. Adam Delmont coming home 3rd ahead of Kim Borkland. And Will Lyon taking home the top 5. Anthony Hammer came home in 6th with a win from Daniel Downing in class. He took 7th overall ahead of Tom Woodcock and Andrew Lovesey. And Luciano Espinera took home the top 10. Gonzalo Rivera winning in class for him in 11th ahead of JB Deshay. Logan McKenzie came home 13th ahead of Arthur Thurtle. And Daniel Lewis is going to find himself on pole position for the second race of the day, 15th in that race overall. Deck Crowther came home in 16th ahead of Kev Aylett. Carl Hardy came home in 18th out of Stephen Fry and Alan McCain. 21st position was your amateur winner, Jack Brown. Jay Cooley came home in 22nd ahead of Marhan Kodeman. Lucas Henschel took home 24th ahead of Fraser Garrity in 25th. Thomas Kuhn came home in 26th position ahead of Paul Hurley. Kevin Marshall came home in 28th. Jess Saunders in 29th and Ronald de Jong came home in 30th. The back of the field, it was John Brown in 31st ahead of Craig Walters. Andy Littler came home in 33rd ahead of Yannick Van Reenen. Torburn Mail came home in 35th. And issues for Mark Draper and for Demis Tigchelaar, Tigchelaar taking both the Pro-Am wins last week, coming home in 36th and 37th position, respectively. Right, the warm-up is ongoing here, so we will see if we can have a quick discussion here with some of our drivers. I would like to talk to Dan Mould. He's got his mic muted though, so we won't pull him across. We will see, however, if we are able to pull in some of our other ones there, as we'll just very quickly once again show you the top 10 in that one as I have a look through and see who might be available in this one that we might want to talk to, as I might just end up pulling a random person at this point. Let's see if we can find a random person we pull in, and we will pull in Andrew Lovesey. I think we will see about pulling down, and we'll pull Andrew into the booth here. And Andrew, you came home that one in a very respectable 3rd position in class. It was 9th overall for you. It looked like a very, very close fight there. How are you feeling after race number 1?
Oh, hello, Joe. Surprised you dragged me in. Yeah, that was probably the most horrendous start I think I've ever had in iRacing. My clutch was set for some reason. It's normally set to about 50-60%, but it was set to 0 for some reason. So I think I went from 8th to 18th at the start, which was not very good, but just sort of picked my way through. I think I had some decent pace, which made it more frustrating, but some really good racing. But pace is so good between all the guys that it's really hard to make up places. But I think Dan got the win, so congrats to him. But yeah, I think consistency is the key this season. So if I can keep getting some podiums, I think I had a couple last week. So just keep plodding along, as they say.
Well, it was. You say that it was. You felt frustrated because you had the speed and just weren't able to show it. I think you did. I'd say it was a top 10, and this is a very strong field out there. Of course, you're in that new semi-pro class, and looking at the championships coming out of round number 1, it is the tightest championship fights that are out there. I think that's going to be the case all season long. So this podium is a strong result for you, of course. The reverse grid means you're going to find yourself once again in the top 10 for race 2. So what's your plan for that one?
Well, first of all, at the end of that race, I mapped my clutch. That's probably the first thing to do. I don't know, just try and stay out of trouble, just try and keep it clean, and just try and get another podium. So I think I've been off iRacing for about 18 months. I only sort of came back for a couple of races towards the back end of last year. Thought I'd give it a proper go this season. So TCR is not my favourite car. So, but yeah, trying my best, Joe. And we'll see where we get on, mate.
Right, good luck, Andrew, for race number 2. And well done on your podium there in race 1.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Andrew, we're going to see if we can very, very quickly, and I do mean that very quickly because we've got about 40 seconds until we grid up here. JBJ, he came home that one in 2nd position in the Pro-Am class. DJ, do you know what? Every time I see you out there, you seem to be finding the pace, and you really are improving. A great result for you there.
Oh, thanks a bunch, Joe. Just great fun. Good bunch of guys. Just glad to be here.
Well, you got that podium. You found yourself inside a very strong result in that one. Race number 2. Are you feeling like you could replicate yet another strong result in this one? You were much higher up than the other Pro-Am drivers as well, so a lot of points to your name over them. The race number 2, though, what do you think?
I like where I'm starting. I like the Audi here. I like that I just jinxed myself, but that's okay. Let's do it.
Right, well done with that one, and good luck race number 2. I won't hold you on much longer as we get ready to grid up.
Thanks, Joe. See ya.
JB Dejay there, coming home 2nd in the Pro-Am class at the end of that one, and we will get ready for race number 2 around the Motegi circuit. So let's very quickly show you the grid for this one. I'd say the top 15 reverse, which means Daniel Lewis is going to start on 1st position in this one ahead of Arthur Thurdo and Logan McKenzie, both those drivers having some unfortunate incidents in race number 1 in the pro class. JB Dejay, who we just caught on to there, he's going to start this one in 4th position. Gonzalo Oliveira will start in 5th ahead of Luciano Espinera, the 2 teammates there on the 3rd row. Andrew Lovesley will start in 7th ahead of Tom Woodcock. Daniel Downing will start in 9th with Anthony Lammer in 10th. Bull Lyon will start in 11th position with Kim Borkland in 12th. 13th will go the way of Adam Delmont ahead of Jack Boulton, and race 1 winner Dan Mould will be starting in the reverse grid, back of the field, 15th position. Deck Crowther will start 16th, just missing out on that invert. Kev Aylett will start in 17th ahead of Carl Hardy. 19th position will be for Stephen Fry, and Alan McCain will start in 20th. Jack Brown will start in 21st position ahead of Jay Cooley. Marhan Codeman in 23rd ahead of Lucas Henschel. 25th will go to the way of Fraser Garrity. 26th for Thomas Coombe ahead of Paul Hurley and Kevin Marshall, say Jeff Saunders and Ronald de Jong rounding out the top 30. John Brown will start in 31st ahead of Craig Walters. Andy Littler in 33rd. Yannick Van Rienen in 34th position ahead of Torbjörn Mayo. Mark Draper will start in 36th position and 37th position. And the back of the field will be Demis. Tigchelaar will be looking to try and do a little bit better in race number 2 here as we look once again at the grid, and it is going to be Daniel Lewis at the front of that one, and we'll see if we can get onto the grid. There we go, instead of a replay, and we look at Daniel Lewis at the front of this field ahead of Arthur Thurtle. Thurtle and McKenzie in that pro field will be looking to do something in this invert. Like I said, both of them getting caught up in some incidents in race number 1. McKenzie being spun by Espinera at turn number 1, and Thurtle being spun after some netcode road contact. Right, 25 minutes on the clock for race number 2. There's a little bit of smoke in the background, but we are green here for race number 2 around the Motegi circuit as we head up towards turn number 1. Straight away, Arthur Durdle is going to look to try and take the lead away from Daniel Lewis here as we go through turn number 1. JB Deshay is looking to get into 3rd position as well, as it is going to be a scattering of cars behind as they exit turn 1. Drivers onto the grass even to try and gain some positions here as Livera goes to the inside of Andrew Lovesey, as we caught up with Lovesey as well after race number 1 as he come through, is once again onto the grass for Livera as he runs wide at a turn 3, but this start has been incredibly clean here for the top 15. Invert, there's a little bit of contact there just behind as Woodcock gets the back of Livera, as there's a little bit of nudging and banging as they go under the bridge and through turn number 5 and 6 here. This right-hander Lammer holding on to a top 10 as it stands, but looking to try and get past Daniel Downing in that SRL purple ahead. That's Kim Borkland looking to try and move up the order as well. He's got Will Lyon. Jack Boulton still holds onto a top 15, but Dan Mould has got through, and that is contact there as Will Lyon hits the back end of Anthony Lammer. This is a gathering of pro drivers here, all of these 5 trying to make their way up the order as Delmont goes to the inside of Lammer. The door closes and he will not be able to make that move. Will Lyon regains the position side by side between Borkland and Mould behind, as this leading pro drivers out of the top 3 right now are looking to try and make their way back through the field. Delmont looks to the inside of Lyon, doesn't do it. Mould stuck to the outside of Kim Borkland, and that is Jack Boulton behind as it stands, just looking to see what happens with these pro drivers as we finish the first lap of asking here around the Motegi circuit across the timing line. The top 3 all pros, and that is a driver off into the grass in the background, and I am afraid to say it might be out of the race as well, as Dan Mould is to the inside of Kim Borkland to try and take 13th position in this one. Trying to figure out who that might have been. It might have been AM leader Jack Brown, who went off his contact with the 966, the number 13 and the 966 go off. So Brown looks like he has had some issues as well, as we try to get back live here with the 966, which is Marhan Kodeman, which is a real shame there, as we look like Delmont is trying to get up the inside of Will Lyon here as he moves up to 11th position. Lyon trying to get the switch back the other way though on the exit, and it won't happen for him. Delmont up to 11th now, trying to chase down Anthony Lammer to get into the top 10. The top 3 in this race now are Arthur Durdle, Logan McKinsey and Luciano Espinera, who have moved up to the front of this field. JB Deshay leads the Pro-Am field. Daniel Lewis still leading the semi-pro field as well, as Livera has fallen down the order a little bit here, giving Deshay a grand opportunity to take a class win here, currently running in the top 5 as well. Has done a great job taking advantage of that invert. The field outside the top 15 though, it's not going easily for them, but for Demis Tigchelaar, it is going quite well, as he found himself in 37th position at the end of race 1. He's all the way up, fighting right now for 28th position with Kevin Marshallsay. Marshallsay on the inside as we get up to the brakes of turn number 11. Tigchelaar will be trying to hold around the outside of Marshallsay, both those in the Pro-Am Championship, and Tigchelaar does hold on to that position at the moment as we come across the timing line once more, and it's a purple lap that time around for Logan McKinsey, the fastest man out there right now, as Daniel Downing is holding on to 9th ahead of Anthony Lammer, but Lammer wants to try and get through and try to find his way towards the other pro drivers as it stands. And somehow we are already 5 minutes through this race, and therefore we are at the length now of race number 1, but we do still see 11 laps to go, there or thereabouts, as we're on the 3rd of a potential 13 laps of running here in race number 2 around the Motegi circuit here for round number 2, and it is Arthur Thurtle leading the overall race. Issues in race 1 for both Thurtle and McKinsey, and with the top 15 invert, they were able to hold themselves up there. They are right now at the front of this field. The man at the back of this is Dan Mould. After getting a great start to his race, he's fallen back behind Jack Boulton, and he is going to be bored of looking at the rear end of that number 31 machine. He was doing it all race long until the final lap of race 1. Jack Boulton will be looking to try and move his way up the order. It was race number 2 that he managed to take the victory at Jerez, but as it stands, it looks like we are going to find 4 different overall race winners in the first 4 races, as Lama has had some sort of issue in through the hairpin there, down a couple of positions as we just watched that. It's a little bit late braking there, contact with Levera, and he loses position to Delmont and Lyon, and will have to hold back in 12th position right now. Adam Delmont has had a good run in this one, up 3 class positions as it stands. Starting this one in 13th, is up to 10th right now, and will be looking to try and start to breach what feels like an impenetrable wall of Pro-Am and semi-pro drivers. But Delmont looks to the inside of Levera. Levera looks to try and close the door, but through goes Delman as Luciano Espinera, 3rd position in this race, goes purple on that lap and looking to try and become a 3-way fight for the race lead right now between your pro drivers at the front. Levera also falling behind Will Lyon there, and Lama is going to be frustrated because he is still behind Gonzalo Levera, even after he just saw Delmont and Lyon overtake him and overtake Levera with relative ease. Levera, though, looking like he might try and get back up the inside of Lyon there, and he certainly will, and he'll move back into a top 10 position. Of course, he's class. The class championships are their own individual championships, but they do take points from overall race positions. So Levera, currently 2nd in class, will want all those points because Jerez is holding on to a top 5 as it stands. But through once more goes Will Lyon, contact there for Levera with Anthony Lama. Lama lets Levera regain that position though, but Kim Borkland moves on through, and now Lama could be under attack from Boulton. Lights flashing there from Lama. He is not impressed with Levera, but as I say, everyone has the right to hold on to their overall positions. That's how they are gaining their points here, so they're going to be wanting to do that. Now, important to note, of course, we saw Jack Brown having issues on the opening lap of the race. He's taken 3 for 3 so far in the amateur class, but it looks like we might see a new amateur winner, and right now, Jeff Saunders could be that man to take the first amateur win outside of Jack Brown, as Boulton looked for a moment to get up the inside of Lama. The door did not open up there, as Jeff Saunders running, of course, in the JC Academy Topaz machine in that AM class. So looking to try and take a win for the JC Academy team, which, if I'm not mistaken, is yet to actually take a victory for any of their drivers so far. So it'll be a great result for the JC Academy cohort, as Logan McKinsey here running around, and this is our top 3 fight in the overall and the pro race. Daniel Downing and Adam Delmont are side by side. Delmont to the outside of Downing. Downing wants to stay here, of course. You can see those semi-pros in front of him. It's a close championship fight. Delmont is going to have that inside line though, and Downing is going to let him through. Not fight too hard as they go under the bridge. Might be looking to try and follow Delmont up a few more places as we head through turn number 5 and 6, slightly different racing lines, as that's Tom Woodcock of the JC Academy team looking to get up the inside of JB Deshay. There's contact Deshay in a separate class, but he's not going to want to get taken out from this fight, but he is going to want these positions if he can hold it. To the inside goes Woodcock. JB Deshay holds the outside. Delmont comes through as well to take that position. Contact behind, lights flashing for Boulton as Dan Mould moves through past Boulton and Lama. Delmont on the outside here of Woodcock. JB DJ on the inside. It is 3 different classes here fighting it out. Behind is Will Lyon trying to get past Daniel Downing as well, the number 20 machine. On the inside to the next turn, Delmont looks to the inside of the number 69 of Tom Woodcock. Doesn't do it. Looks like they settle themselves down at the front. Will Lyon, though, still side by side with Daniel Downing. Penalty for Anthony Lammer. His day goes to the end of what would be a possible contention for good points for him. Off the circuit there for just a moment was Tom Woodcock, but he does stay out of this field. Another JC Academy driver off in the background as that was Lyon to the inside of Downing. Gets back to the outside as Delmont moves through into 6th position. Downing now is going to hold on the outside once more. It's an attempted switch over from Lyon to try and scare Downing perhaps into opening the door. The door was open, but Downing has not backed out in the SRL purple machine, as that is Will Lyon on the outside. It's the long way round here. It's going to go the way of Daniel Downing. Lyon does not want to give up, pushes onto the grass, will have the inside in the next turn, and Kim Auckland looking to try and follow on that inside. No, he gets back to the racing line as Lyon and Downing are side by side once more as we go underneath the bridge through turn number 4 and up into turn 5. Daniel Downing is going to have to give that position up to Will Lyon, but he fought it as hard as he possibly could. He can see that podium in class just get away from him at the moment as we head up towards the braking zone of turn number 9 and up towards the hairpin, as that is Dan Mould to the inside of Gonzalo Oliveira through turn 9 and moves through as well. Stephen 5 finds himself in the top 15 at the moment. That's Dan Mould's teammate. So looking to get into that 15th, which would be 5th in class as it stands right now in that semi-pro field. 13 minutes left on the board, and we return to the fight at the very front of this field. Arthur Thurtle leads the way ahead of Logan McKenzie, 3rd position. The way of Luciano Espinera has not had the easiest of starts to this championship in the Bike 500 machine, but now has a perfect opportunity to get a podium, potentially even to get himself up the front. He is getting the 3 bonus points right now for the class fastest lap as well, if that stays his way. He's going to be hoping that McKenzie and Thurtle fight it out in front of him as well and open up an opportunity as we go almost 3 wide into turn 1. Jay Cooley tried to hold the outside line on Kev Aylett, and it's just given the position to Aylett, McCain, Hardy and Geraghty. Not the turn 1 that Jay Cooley would have been hoping for in an ambitious outside line attempt. It has not gone his way and he falls down. Dan Mould now looking to try and move up the order. This has been incredibly challenging for the inverted drivers here today. It has been an incredibly difficult feat to move your way up the field. We saw drivers move up the field last week at Jerez, but here at Motegi, this inverted grid has made it incredibly difficult for those starting towards the bottom end of the top 15 to be able to move through. What it has meant is drivers who had a difficult race number 1, Thurtle and McKenzie both taken out, Espinera falling down the order as the race went on, are finding themselves doing very well at the front here as McKenzie looks to the inside of Thurtle. There's a slight tap there between the two of them. Thurtle will hold on to the lead, but they're going to re-invite Luciano Espinera into a fight here for the top spot in the race. As we're coming up towards 10 minutes to go, we're looking at about 6 more laps of asking as Thurtle, McKenzie and Espinera, less than a second separate all 3 of them as we go through the 13-14 chicane and up towards the timing line for the 7th time. 10.5 minutes left on the clock right now, and Arthur Thurtle is at the front of this field. Logan McKenzie chasing down behind. They've got a bit of a gap back to Daniel Lewis, is looking to try and take his first semi-pro win of the season as well and become yet another new semi-pro winner, yet to see repeats in the pros or the semi-pros. McKenzie gets really close to the back end of Arthur Thurtle there, but there was just nowhere to go to get up the inside of that one, so has to remain behind at the moment, and Espinera can just see this fight going on in front of him, and he knows if something happens, just a small things happens in front, he could see this fight go his way. JB Deshay still holding the lead of the Pro-Am field at the moment, but down in 8th position now. Gonzalo Oliveira, second in that class, sitting 12th. So they less cars between them, but still quite a bit of a gap of about 3 seconds separating them at the moment. 3.4 seconds, in fact, when I looked over, as we continue to watch this fight at the front of the field between your overalls, your pro race leaders at the moment, as McKenzie, Thurtle, both of them running around in race 1. They'll be giving each other just that little bit of extra space here. There's always been just that slight knock, but it hasn't turned into anything more than that at the moment. 9 minutes on the clock as we head to 5 to go. Logan McKenzie chasing down Arthur Thurtle for the win. Luciano Espinera just behind, looking to try and take advantage of anything that may happen in front of him right now as we watch McKenzie close in to the rear end of Thurtle. It doesn't turn in to an overtaking opportunity there, but it could do up towards turn number 1. 0.2 of a second between them there as Lyon has found his way past Deshay as well, and we go into turn number 1, and again McKenzie getting all the way onto the rear of Thurtle there, both of them running in different cars, of course. The Hyundai out front, that's for the Hyundai Veloster. Then you've got the Honda just behind, you've got the Hyundai Veloster in third as well, so a mix of cars out there, and a sandwich for Logan McKenzie right now in between the Hyundai machines, but McKenzie just wanting to try and get past Thurtle. Of course, the race lead in race number 1 changed on the final lap of the race, so it's not over until it's over, but McKenzie wants to find his way past Thurtle as quickly as possible. When he looks towards the inside of turn 7, gets back onto the racing line, trying potentially to catch Thurtle out. Of course, this was the corner that Thurtle was turned in race number 1. McKenzie went around at turn number 1. McKenzie contact with Espinera in that first race of the day that turned him. Thurtle was a bit of netcode that sent him around. Delmont moves into a top 5. He is 5 seconds off of this fight though, so there's almost no chance for Delmont to find his way towards the front of this field. But if he is able to find that half second get past Daniel Lewis, he'll be maximising this reverse grid race, which Jack Boulton in 13th hasn't done, and Dan Mould has fallen to 17th position. But this is a potential opportunity here for McKenzie. Thurtle went defensive. He's feeling the pressure. He gets back onto the racing line. McKenzie looked to the inside. Wasn't going to really go for that move, but really now piling the pressure on Arthur Thurtle as they go through the chicane in this one. Dan Mould, as I said, he has fallen down the order, and it looks like damage on the front left for Mould. So an issue for him sees him falling down the field right now and not getting the points he would have hoped for, especially after a race 1 victory. That is going to be a real shame for Dan Mould here in race number 2, and it is going to have a severe impact on the championship as well, with every result really meaning something. Boulton isn't too much further up the order though, with 13th. That's another position lost there for Dan Mould as Carl Hardy jumps up the inside. This is how Hardy did it, knowing that Mould has got that damage, has got issues, just moves through. Oliveira, however, is on a hunt to try and take the double here in class for the Pro-Ams around the Motegi circuit. Does have Will Lyon fighting him out, but he is only a second off of JB Deshay, but Lyon gets through now. Oliveira is going to be wanting to find his way past Lyon, or at least Lyon to find the speed and close that gap up to JB Deshay so we can take the double victory, which Demis Tigchelaar managed to do in that Pro-Am class last week. Can Oliveira do it in the Pro-Am class this week? Or can JB Dejay become the third different Pro-Am winner so far this season? We're back to the leading fight as it stands between Arthur Thurtle and Logan McKenzie as Dan Mould continues to drop like a rock down this field, and I'm trying to see where that potential issue happened here for Mould, but there's nothing saying that Mould had an accident, which means he's probably gone into the back of someone for that to have occurred, which is a shame for him, and I just cannot find where that might have happened for Dan Mould, which is something we're not going to be able to figure out until we talk to him, if we're able to have a word with him after this one, if he wants to have a word with us. Of course, not a race to remember. Race 1 to remember, though, with that victory. Race 2, not so much, as the leading fight once again comes to a head here as McKenzie looks to the inside of Thurtle. There's contact! Thurtle sideways, Espinera spins McKenzie, and McKenzie's onto the grass, but Luciano Espinera is into the lead. You could argue he hit McKenzie for a second race in a row, but it was only because of the contact that had already happened ahead of him in that one. We ride on board with the new race leader, Espinera. There was McKenzie to the inside of Thurtle. There's contact. Espinera just taps the rear end of McKenzie. It's enough to send him around. But Luciano Espinera here leading the way around the Motegi circuit with 3 laps to go. Arthur Thurtle, 3/10 down. McKenzie has held on to third, but there is Adam Delmont as the lead for the semi-pro class. Is fighting out. These are 3 semi-pro drivers looking for the lead. Lewis on the inside, Lovesley on the outside, Woodcock behind, as Woodcock in the JC Academy team is now in this fight with the 2 sister SRL teams, SRL Green and SRL White. We head up towards turn number 11. Lewis is to the inside of Lovesley. Will he be able to hold it on that inside line? It should go his way, but no. Lovesley is able to hold the speed on the exit of turn 11. It'll become his inside into 12, and before the chicane, Daniel Lewis loses down a second, and there's contact with Tom Woodcock. But Lovesley is into the lead of the semi-pro field right now, and there was just something about the 2 drivers we talked to after race 1, as Lovesley took third in class in race 1, leading the class here after our interview with him. JB Dejay took second in the Pro-Am class in race 1, leading here after our interview with him. As to the inside comes Tom Woodcock, damaged that front left fender, but he moves to the inside of Daniel Lewis to try and take second in class. Lewis is onto the grass, and through goes Tom Woodcock from the leader class down to third. Goes Daniel Lewis in that one, and will be under attack from Kim Borkland, who will be looking to try and take the extra point here. This is what is a 4-driver train, I would argue. McKenzie is a second off here of the leading 2, but if Thurtle looks to the move past Espinera here, could that invite McKenzie and Delmont in? We are going to get the white flag the next time we cross the timing line, which means we have about 1.5 laps left to go in this race, and Jess Saunders is running a very dominant race in the AM class right now, 7 seconds clear of Jack Brown, Littler, Mail. They are fighting it out for the podium in that amateur field, as well as Borkland does find his way past Lewis. This is that fight towards the back of the field. You see how close they are, but we will stay with the front for now. Delmont flashing his lights at Logan McKenzie. Can Arthur Thurtle find his way to victory lane here tonight at Motegi? Will McKenzie or Delmont be able to do it, or will Espinera find his way to the front? If Delmont is somehow able to do it, he will be the first repeat winner in the Pro and Overalls but Espinera leads the way onto the final lap of this race. Thurtle is going to fight hard to try and get back into the lead of this one after the contact with McKinsey. It's a purple for Delmont. He's going to take the bonus point in this one. Bonus 3 points in this one for the fastest lap. As that's deep from McKinsey, and through goes Adam Delmont onto a podium here. This is great for Adam Delmont after his victory last week. Espinera has to go defensive on Arthur Thurtle. Thurtle's going to try and get the switch back, surely. It doesn't work out. It's not quite close enough right now, but he is pushing the pressure, and he does get up the inside. Is Espinera trying to hold the inside for turn number 7, perhaps? Is the two Velocitors running neck and neck in the front of the field? There's a nudge there, but through goes Arthur Thurtle. Luciano Espinera falls to second, but this will still be a great result for him as he comes through turn number 9 and up towards the hairpin. Arthur Thurtle has led most of this race until the contact with McKinsey. He had managed to make his way back through though, and that is a really late braking moment for Espinera there to the outside of Thurtle. It doesn't hold on, but surely he is going to give it one last go here. And on the final lap of asking, Lucas Henschel in the Pro-Am field will find himself with a black flag and a penalty. Espinera can't do anything to get past Thurtle as they go into turn 11. If the chicane is done right from Thurtle, he will take his first win of the season. Arthur Thurtle comes out of turn number 14 and will win here at Motegi. Espinera taking second and Delmont a strong third position. McKenzie comes home in fourth. Lubsey wins the semi-pros. Adam Woodcock, Falkland coming home in fifth in class. Daniel Tanning taking that podium. And JB Deshay takes the win in the Pro-Am field, and for the first time this season a driver other than Jack Brown will take victory in the Am class, but Brown after his first lap antics will recover to second in class. But Jeff Saunders wins his first class race of the season and will become our second amateur winner. What a result that has been, though, for our drivers there, and it will mean that in the semi-pro and the pro classes we are yet to see a repeat winner, which I think just shows you how tight this championship fight is going to be. It is going to be absolutely epic, that is for sure. And JB Deshay as well, taking his first win of the season and doing it in style as well. A great end to that one, and let's have a look then at our results from race number 2 before we get on with a few of our interviews at the end as well. Arthur Thurtle taking the win overall in that one, ahead of Luciano Espinera. Adam Delmont coming home third, ahead of Logan McKinsey. Andrew Lovesey finished that one in fifth to win in the semi-pro field, ahead of Tom Woodcock. Tim Borkland came home in seventh, ahead of Daniel Downing, Will Lyon and Daniel Lewis to round out the top 10. JB Deshay took home the win in the Pro-Am class, ahead of Gonzalo Oliveira. Jack Boulton took home 13th, ahead of Stephen Fry. Kev Aylett came home in 15th position, ahead of Alan McCain and Carl Hardy in 17th. 18th went the way of Fraser Garrity. Jay Kool-Aid took home 19th, and Ronald de Jong round out the top 20 in that one. 21st position went the way of Craig Walters. Demis Tigchelaar took home 22nd, ahead of Paul Hurley. John Brown took home 24th. And your amateur winner, Jeff Saunders, came home 25th overall. Kevin Marshall came home in that one in 26th position. Jack Brown in 27th, ahead of Torburn Mail. Mark Japper and Yannick Van Reenen rounded out your top 30. Lucas Henschel finished in 31st in the end with that last lap penalty. A lap down with issues. Race 1 winner, Dan Mould. Andy Littler and Thomas Coombe as well. Coombe leading the amateur class for quite some time until something befell him. Deck Crowther, Anthony Lammer, both retiring early doors, and Marhan Kodeman out before the race began with that first lap incident with Jack Brown that we saw him going all the way off of the circuit and into the wall. We'll have a look here to see who is around that we can pull in after that one, and I think there is definitely going to be one man that we are going to have to pull down after race number 2 in that one, and it wasn't the race number 1 that Arthur Thirdle would have wanted, and it was almost a repeat in race 2, but a great fight for you, Arthur, and you came home to take victory in race number 2.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a bit stressful at the end there, but we got the job done.
Yeah, it was stressful, as you say. Race number 1, though, let's talk about that quickly. Obviously, you were running up there in a good result. It didn't quite go your way. We saw you running around in 15th position. Was it just trying to hold on to that invert at that point?
Well, if I'd had the chance to go past more people, I would have done. But the timings, considering it was a 2-minute plus lap, everyone was so close together. Even if you was looking in the up to sort of 20th and stuff, you're still only talking a few tenths off the leader's pace. It was not easy out there to try and work your way back through.
Definitely, as you say, it was. We saw on that inverted grid, the drivers starting at the back of that invert really had a tough time working their way through. It meant, though, that in race number 2, you had a perfect position right at the front of the field there. You got into the lead in turn number 1. You were able to hold it strong there. There was another bit of contact through the hairpin that you had with McKinsey before the bigger contact on the end. Got a bit stressful. How are you feeling at that point with the contact that you had?
To be honest, I was now at the point of, with round 1, that is the 5th race in a row, not in this league, but just in iRacing that I've done in the last 2 weeks, where I've had an incident that has resulted in me having my rear end clipped and spun around the wrong way. So I was kind of thinking, oh, we're going for number 6 now. But the car sort of flicked back round. I think where Logan was on my inside, that actually straightened my car up for me quite nicely and meant I could carry on.
And then it was just that push on Espinero, obviously trying a few different lines in that one. And on the last lap of asking, it was an unconventional place to try and make the overtake through the around the outside of turn 7. But it worked out for you. Were you worried at that point for potential a little bit more contact?
I haven't really raced with him before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought, I've got now Logan, I think, was a second behind. I thought I'll fly it around the outside. If he breaks too late and knocks me off, then so be it. It's just what it is. I'm out of the championship because of the amount of rounds I'm going to miss this season. So I thought I might as well try and get as many wins as I can.
Well, it does mean that in the 4 races so far, you are our 4th different winner. You say you're going to be missing out a number of the races. The championship's not going to go your way. But a win then is a great way to head out of Motegi and in towards the next ones.
Yes, yeah, I do miss next week. I'm at Disneyland. But then I'm back for the one after that. I haven't looked at what track it is yet. But tonight's track was a Honda track. I was gutted that I missed the first round because my little boy was ill, and obviously he's priority. But that track I think would have suited the Veloster quite well. But it is what it is. The Veloster's, if it's fast flowing corners, the Veloster's good. If it tracks where there's hard braking zones and hairpins, the Honda will just walk all over it.
Wow, you still managed to get your Veloster to the front of race number 2. So well done for that one and your first victory of the season.
Thank you very much.
Arthur Thurtle there, coming home to take the overall victory in race number 1 after that contact in race number 2. After the contact in race number 1 that sent him around. It was just a little nudge in that one that was caused by Netco, but it placed him in a perfect position for the second race of the day. And a driver that we talked to at the end of race number 1, Andrew Lovesey, in that one. You managed to take home 3rd in class in race 1, and you topped it in race number 2, taking the victory in that one. But once again, it was an incredibly close fight between yourself, Woodcock, and Daniel Downing.
Yeah, what a race. That was fantastic. I can't wait to watch back the little battle I had with Daniel right at the end, last couple of laps. Sort of got a better start, mapped the clutch this time, which helps. Got a good start, a little incident in front of me, so I found myself in a good position. The race was like pretty steady. Me and Tom were having a good battle. I saw Adam sort of coming through the field. I was struggling to get past Dan at that point, so I thought I'll just let Ad through and then try and sort of follow him. It didn't quite work out, so I had to kind of force the issue a little bit with Dan. But I think we had about 7 or 8 corners side by side. It was a bit nail biting. But yeah, and then at the end, I think the tyres were a bit shot on the last lap, so I went ultra defensive to keep Tom behind me, who had some good pace as well. So yeah, overall, really, really chuffed with that.
Well, it does mean that you have come out of today with a really strong result in that semi-pro championship. I was saying at the end of race one, it is a very close championship fight, and that is really going to help your case. Of course, we've got still 8 more rounds to go. How are you feeling?
Just generally happy. Like I said, I haven't raced for 18 months. It's really good just to be back racing. There's so many lads that I don't know, I've never raced with before. So, like, sort of getting used to racing with some of them. The track list looks great. I didn't really like these 2 tracks, if I'm honest. I'm really looking forward to Long Beach. Probably shot myself in the foot, but I just like that track. So, looking forward to next week. But yeah, the pace is so close. I think it shows it in. You've got to have a really good qualifying session to give yourself a chance. A couple of mistakes, and you can find yourself in the middle of the grid. So obviously, if you're 1 or 2 of the quicker boys, you're all right. You can get out front. But the pace just showed in that race. A lot of the pros didn't make it to the front like last week. So, but yeah, no, really, really good.
Indeed, as you say, the pros finding it difficult to get through on that invert. It certainly made it interesting throughout the field. The rest of the championship so should be good, and it seems like it's going to be a really close one. So, Andrew, good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully, we'll be pulling you back into the booth for some more race victories.
Cheers, Joe. Looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to watching it back, buddy. Thank you very much.
Oh, as Andrew loves it there, coming home to win in class. And driver who was waiting to talk to us in that one, but he popped away. We'll pull him back down now as race number 1. We'll talk about that one first, Dan, because it was a great race for you. You were following behind Jack Boulton all race long. Talk us through that last lap move for us.
Yeah, he just came from nowhere, to be fair. I just thought he had the edge on him on that corner going into that the right-hander, and I don't know, he just didn't seem to want to defend it. So I went for the send. I tried to hold it on the apex as much as I can, but on the exit I got a little bit throttle happy. Obviously almost turned him, but I think that just brushed off his speed for going down to the next right-hander, and then yeah, I just kept one eye on him in the braking zone, and then just braked after him, and then just tried to slot him in front, and seemed to have paid off. A little bit elbows out, but sometimes what's required in touring cars.
Certainly
so, yeah, I'm happy with race 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Race 1, yeah, it went really, really well for you. Did that victory, and 4 races so far, 4 different pro and overall winners. Race number 2, though, we saw first of all before you got that damage that it seemed really tricky to move through on the invert this week. Last week we saw the pro drivers carve their way back towards the front. What do you think was different here?
It's just a very fast-flowing track, isn't it? All the corners seem to be flat. You can run over the curves with no upset to the car balance at all, and obviously the pace throughout the week was pretty competitive, and I do believe we had some pros up there as well at the top end of the field in the reverse race. They would have been pulling along the other guys as well, the pro-ams and semi-pros, etc. And yeah, it was quite difficult. And then unfortunately, Kim just went for a late defend, and then it just kind of caught me off guard. And then when I went in for the overlap, he parked it, and then that was it. The damage was done then. my steering was at what was it, at like 7 o'clock. It was really hard to steer, and then I got caught up with Gonzalo and Jack on turn 3 or 4 as well, and then yeah, it was just a case of just trying to survive. I was on 14x for the last 5 laps, so it was just a case of trying to survive. And then I don't know what happened, but the white flag came out, and then for some reason it went back in. So I finished before the race was over. So it's one of them things. It may be a drop week this week, unfortunately, but yeah, it's what it is. You just got to take the rough with the smooth.
Certainly, and as you said, there could be a drop week, but you have got that victory to your name, and the fastest lap bonus points in race number 1 as well, which will help you out in that one. But we've got a really great calendar coming up. Of course, we go to the streets next week of Long Beach. It is going to be a tight one. It's going to be a lot tighter than it was here at Motegi. How are you feeling about that?
I've not done it for a long time, Long Beach, but I do actually like it. It's on the edge, obviously, with the walls. And I just hope everybody goes into the race with the same mindset that, you know, you can't really do any late silly sends. You've got to be very patient and then just, you know, wait for opportunities to arise. It's going to be, obviously, it's a street circuit. You know, as we see in the Monaco Grand Prix at the F1, you know, it's a case of where you start on the grid is kind of where you finish, more or less. And I think, you know, that's what it's going to be about. Get a good qualifying start and then just, you know, just try and finish the race. You see, they are very tricky street circuits. I've not ever done a league around Long Beach. I've just done the officials. Not one of my favourites for league racing, but it was highly. It was a track that people wanted. They wanted it in the league. You know, it was highly voted. So we've put it in, but we'll see. Just got to stay out of trouble.
And certainly we'll need to stay out of trouble, and we can see how different it can change from one race to the next. But we have got 8 more rounds to go down, so hopefully you can add to your win counter as you've got 1 on the board so far.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Dan Mould there, coming home. Race victor in race number 1, 34th overall. In race number 2, he said there, finishing a lap down because the white flag came out and then it disappeared. He'd already pulled over and decided enough was enough once he saw that white flag. And what he thought was then the checkered flag. Of course, we did see that it was down to about 13 seconds when the white flag came out. It's probably why that white flag shifted like it did. But that is going to be our races done here today as we finish around the circuit of Motegi for round number 2. We have still got a fantastic calendar coming your way. As you can see, Long Beach next week we were talking about. We've got Summit Point as well. Hungaroring is going to be a tight and interesting circuit before we head across to VIR. Mugello for round 7. Brands Hatch for round 8. Catalonia and Road America will finish the season, but what an evening of racing it has been once more here on the SRL TV channel. If you are watching over on the YouTube, make sure that you have hit that subscribe button so that you are notified when we go live every single Friday for these wonderful league races, and when you will also get notified when POVs are uploaded, such as Dan Mould, who uploaded his POV of last week's race. You can also see him race in some of the official races as well over on the YouTube channel. You can also head over to Simulation Racing Leagues over on Twitch, because Dan was over there streaming tonight's POV as well, so you could check out all the racing action from his point of view live. And then also, if you're over on Twitch, you can go across to Joseph Wright TV, where you can hit that follow button and you can watch the broadcast over there, as well as all the other broadcasts we do here at Joseph Wright Broadcasting. But from SRL TV and from me, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time out at Long Beach for round number 3. The championship fight has only just begun, and it is going to get more intense from here. The classes yet to become official and confirmed as drivers are looked at to see and evaluated whether they're in the right class or not. So there will be some changes for sure, as we can note. Jack Brown, for example, is definitely a driver that will be stepping out of the Amateur League before those classes are confirmed official. But until next Friday and round number 3, I hope you have a fantastic time, and we will see you next time out as we go racing once again in the SRL TCR League for season number 10. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.